Let's begin. Today I will talk about nerve cells, specifically neuron anatomy, types, and function. The neuron is the fundamental cell in the nervous system. Although neurons come in different types, their anatomy is common. At the top, there are dendrites that receive information, then the soma, which houses the nucleus, which integrates signals, and finally the axon helon, which initiates electrical signals through action potentials, which propagate down the axon end to the axon terminals. There are many different types of neurons, which relates to specific functions. Form dictates function. Unipolar, bipolar, pseudo-unipolar, and multipolar. I'll let you look at the slide a little longer. There are three major types of functional classifications for neurons: sensory neurons, motor neurons, and interneurons. Bipolar neurons tend to be interneurons. Unipolar neurons tend to be sensory neurons. Multipolar neurons tend to be motor neurons. All three have different functions, but the brain needs all of them to communicate effectively with the rest of the body and vice versa. So how do neurons send signals? Nerve cells carry nerve impulses or signals that move across the synapse, the place where the axon of one neuron meets the dendrite of another, using chemicals called neurotransmitters. Neurons communicate by turning chemical signals into electrical signals, then by sending the electrical signals as an action potential. An action potential is a sudden positive change in charge that causes neuron firing. The charge travels down the axon of one neuron to open bubbles of chemicals to signals the next neuron. The neuron receives it and then changes it to an action potential. Using action potentials, they can communicate chemical signals. Let's take a look at one neuron in action. Chemical signals become electrical signals by changing the cell's membrane potential. Ion channels are where chemical signals turn into electrical signals. A positive enough membrane potential causes the neuron to fire. When the inside of a cell becomes more negative, it is hyperpolarized. When the inside of the cell becomes more positive, it is depolarized. Here are a few fun facts about neurons. Average number of neurons in the human brain equals 100 billion. The diameter of a neuron is around 4 to 100 microns. The velocity of signal that transmits through a neuron is around 1.2 to 250 miles per hour. There are as many neurons in the human brain as stars in the whole Milky Way. The number of ways information travels in the human brain is greater than the number of stars in the universe. The brain uses more of its body's energy than the rest of its organs, using over 20% of the energy reserves in the body. The brain's structure is constantly changing as we learn. The fastest signal transmission is around 268 miles per hour. Neurons can't divide or replace themselves, hence nerve damage is often permanent.
I leave you with this comic. When we put all these connections together, with the help of synapses, we can complete tasks.